a certain selfishness to libertarian. Enlightened self-interest is the euphemism I believe that we use. My house, my car, my family, they may be a lot of responsibility, but I'd rather take that responsibility than have any of you dating my wife or, backing my car into foam poles or leaving your dirty socks on my bedroom floor. Although when it comes to the kids, actually, if any of you want to babysit for free, I'm willing to share. But it's also common sense, really. It's common sense more than common selfishness that drives the libertarian philosophy. I mean, we hold the individual to be self-evident. I mean, we believe in the primacy of the individual, the sanctity of the individual, the freedom and responsibility of the individual, because we're individuals, I mean, we're not ants or bees, we do not reason or love or live or die collectively. Now, I may say, like President Clinton, that I feel your pain, but like President Clinton, I'm lying, Although I will admit, on the subject of feeling the pain of others, that the Clinton administration was collectively a pain in the butt. But anyway, when Elizabeth Hurley has a torrid love affair, I don't get the pleasure, So why should I get the bill for child support, And I think that's a good question, given our welfare system that lets all the less famous and less beautiful Elizabeth Hurleys put the cost of their children on my income tax tab, Now, there is such a thing as mass jubilation, among young idiots at an NSYNC concert, There's such a thing as mass death, we all know that, Hiroshima and Auschwitz, Now, but these are not events that bring joy to the heart of a libertarian, Whenever a libertarian hears the word masses, he knows those masses are in for something rotten, Mass hysteria, mass movements, mass murder, mass starvation. Notice how, when collectivists are speaking, mass poverty is always paired with individual wealth, Draw your own conclusion, Now, there's only one happy phrase that makes reference to the masses, and that is mass exodus, where everybody's on his own 2 feet trying to get the hell away from everybody else, No. Now, I say that logic leads to libertarianism, but also in libertarianism, frankly, there is an element of despair, because we know people aren't good. Now, some of the religious among us believe in the doctrine of original sin. The rest of us watch Maury Povich. People are sneaky, people are greedy, mean, and yet we, as libertarians, propose to turn these people loose to do whatever they want. Now, we do that because we know that no matter what bad things individuals do, they are better than the things that get done to individuals by the collective will. And I don't even mean the really gross manifestations of the collective will, such as totalitarianism or public television, I mean, imagine a rich farmer going door to door in your suburb trying to get huge subsidies from you out of your shopping list. Imagine a steel tycoon down at the docks in Long Beach trying to impose a one-man tariff on cheap foreign steel, Imagine someone trying to inflate his own currency with a Xerox machine at Kinko's, Imagine Enron trying to cheat the whole nation without the help of an impenetrable tax code, obscurances, accounting principles, and the dark powers of the Securities and Exchange Commission. It can be done. See, libertarians don't expect miracles from individuals. We just expect individuals to be individuals with the limited scope for evil that individuals enjoy. Real evil is coercive. And an individual does not have the power to coerce, even if dope and machine guns are legalized. I mean, an individual does not have the power to coerce that the government has. And real good is voluntary. And no government, however democratic, is fully voluntary, as Florida voters discovered in November 2000. Only individuals have free will. Systems do not. Voluntary good is done by individuals for the benefit of individuals. Now, some of that voluntary good is going to be tasteless and dumb and short-sighted, of little value to mankind as a whole. But the ugliest strip mall shopping development is better than the most beautiful gulag. And this gives libertarians hope. But I'm not at all sure that it is wise for us to be hopeful. The individual has powerful enemies. And over the course of history, those enemies have, in most times and in most places, defeated the individual utterly. See, libertarians have got a lot of things to fight. Libertarians must fight the herd instinct. This is a powerful instinct. Witness the lemming, And I think we should thank the lemming for the wonderful weapon of simile that the lemming has given us libertarians when it jumps off a cliff. Something, incidentally, that lemmings always do in masses. Libertarians must fight not only instinct, but ideas. And two of the most ingrained ideas in the human mind are the idea of collective entitlement and the idea of zero-sum outcomes. Now, collective entitlement, I deserve something. I deserve something, not because of what I made or did, but because I belong to a category. I deserve something because I'm a member of the proletariat who deserves the fruits of capital, a member of the female sex who deserves affirmative action, an African American who deserves slavery reparations, an American Indian who deserves the whole darn country, or in my case, a middle-aged white guy who deserves some peace and quiet when he comes home from work, and some sports on TV, Now, notice how the idea of collective entitlement is much more popular than the idea of collective forfeiture. Very, very rarely does somebody volunteer to go to jail because the other members of his ethnic group have been running the protection rackets in Brooklyn, for decades. And zero-sum outcomes. Whatever it is you've got it because you took it from me. Now, like all bad ideas, this has some basis in reality. For millions of years, humans were dependent for their livelihood on land, and there's only so much of it, unless you're Dutch and you've drained your own, and I think we should note that the Netherlands went from being a swamp on the outskirts of Belgium, to being a very, very wealthy nation. But anyway, you can see, it's easy enough for us to see where zero-sum thinking comes from. But the day that it came from is gone. Everybody in America who didn't come over the Bering Strait ice bridge, stole his land from somebody else. And speaking for myself, they can have it back if they promise to mow it. My wife has an almost new string trimmer. The heck with the land. I would rather be up in the air in my Gulfstream jet playing the market with wireless technology. Now, libertarianism comes from a place that most people don't understand and other people just don't believe in. Libertarianism comes from the place that is in between taking and being given. And hardly anybody wants to go to that place. It's full of work and worry. Lord Acton said that the true friends of liberty are always few. They may all be here in this room. We're here because nobody loves us is basically why we're here, That's it, And yet, although I say that we shouldn't be hopeful, it isn't really how I feel. I do feel hope. I do think there's a future for the free individual, whether he wants it or not, And the reason that I say so is right here outside this ballroom, America. Hardly anyone wanted to come to America. Even the original inhabitants were just following a mammoth further than they meant to, And the rest of us were dragged here as slaves and bondservants. We were exiled here as heretics and criminals. We were chased here by poverty and oppression. And we came here because no place else would take us. We're a bunch of losers and bums, the offscourings of the planet. And now we are the richest and most powerful nation in the world. And, why? Why is that? Is that because we're collectively good? No. It's because we're individually free. And freedom is tough. We're tough. Freedom is difficult. We're difficult. Freedom is a heavy load to carry. We've got baggage, And one more thing. Freedom is messy. So I think we should make a mess.